Imagine this for a second. A company's biggest secrets, right? Not grabbed by some super hacker cracking firewalls. No. Instead, it's someone just, looking over a shoulder at a coffee shop, or maybe digging through a trash can out back, or even just making a really polite phone call. We're talking about gathering information by targeting the weakest link. Always the weakest link, isn't it? The human element. Today, on the deep dive, we're going deep into the, well, surprisingly effective world of footprinting and social engineering. Our mission today is really to unpack these techniques, the critical stuff that security testers and, let's be honest, malicious actors use to get intelligence on networks, on organizations. We'll look at how they use tools, web tools that are just readily available, how they analyze a company's online presence, and crucially, how they exploit just basic human nature. This isn't just theory, okay? It's about understanding the real risks out there and how you, especially if you're aiming for roles in MIS, CIS, IT, or maybe you're in the BCIS 42 ethical hacking course right now, how you can become guardians.
It's about learning defense, yeah, but also thinking like the attackers you're defending against. Now, before we dive into all these fascinating techniques, if you're finding this useful, for your career or for your growth, please take just a second. Like, subscribe, share this deep dive. It really helps make sure you don't miss out on the kind of insider tips that, well, could one day save your career or maybe even your company's critical assets.
That's such a critical point. We often get this image, right? Hacking is all about complex code, pounding away at keyboards. But so much of it, especially those early stages, it's just pure detective work. It's digging up every little scrap of information you can find. And that's footprinting, basically. The real key here isn't just what info is out there, but how all these seemingly random public details can be, well, weaponized, put together into a real attack plan.
Okay, so footprinting, that's the reconnaissance phase, you said. Like, before any testing or actual attack happens, you're just gathering data, mapping things out.
Exactly. Think of it like scouting the terrain before you plan your route. For security testers, this initial info helps them get a handle on the network they're assessing, find potential weaknesses, entry points. But, and this is vital, attackers use the exact same process to plan their malicious stuff. So the tools, the techniques we talk about, they're really two sides of the same coin. It just depends on the intent behind using them.
And it's kind of unnerving how much of this data is just, well, available publicly. Using regular web tools, what are some of the main ones people use for this?
Well, a really basic starting point is just looking closely at a company's own website. It's often a gold mine. You can figure out technologies they use, maybe get a sense of the org structure, even find employee names sometimes. For a deeper look, tools like ZAttack, Proxy, ZAP are incredibly useful.
ZAP, what's special about that one for reconnaissance?
ZAP is it's open source, first off, which is great. And it basically acts like an X-ray for websites. It lets security folks map out web server setups, find hidden vulnerabilities, that sort of thing. It works as an intercepting proxy, so you can analyze the web pages, see what data is going back and forth, and gather intelligence on the server and the application itself. It really helps understand the attack surface of a web app.
Sounds pretty fundamental.
Yeah.
What else is in that digital toolkit for footprinting?
Oh, another classic is the Whois command. Or, online Whois lookup tools. People think it's just for checking domain registration, but it's a really critical info gathering tool. You query a domain name, and boom, you can get IP addresses, who owns the domain, registration dates, sometimes even admin and technical contact details. There are tons of web-based tools that make this super easy for anyone. You're finding out who owns that digital real estate.
So literally finding the digital landlord, yeah. Okay, and then email addresses. How can something seemingly simple like an email address be used here?
It's all about pattern recognition, really, and connecting the dots. If you can get your hands on just one or two company emails, you can often figure out their standard format. Is it like firstname.lastname@company.com, or maybe FU lastname@company.com? Once you crack that pattern, you can combine it with public info, maybe from LinkedIn, or even old phone directories found online, like on groups.google.com sometimes. And you start building these lists of employee emails, which of course becomes a prime target list for phishing or other social engineering later. Shows how tiny bits of data add up.
Right. And you mentioned web servers.
Yeah.
Even basic web stuff like HTTP can leak information if you know what to look for, right?
Absolutely. HTTP, running on port 80, usually it's the backbone of the web, right?
Yeah.
But understanding how it works is key, because a badly configured server can spill secrets, maybe through specific error codes it gives back, or by allowing HTTP methods it shouldn't, like putty or delete, which could let someone alter files. An attacker sees those things, and it signals a potential weakness. So yeah, even the basic plumbing of the internet needs to be secured properly. It ties right into recognizing vulnerabilities.
That's digging into the tech side. But what about competitive intelligence? Businesses do that all the time. How does that kind of thinking become a footprinting technique?
It's really interesting how those lines get blurred, isn't it? Competitive intelligence, in business is just gathering info on competitors to get an edge, legitimate stuff. But with technology now, companies use browsers, search engines, maybe even some of these footprinting tools we're discussing to find info. And from a security standpoint, it starts looking less like market research and more like, well, potential information exploitation. It really hammers home why organizations need to not just gather intel on others, but also figure out how others might be gathering intel on them and report that, recognizing vulnerabilities and having solid reporting practices.
So it's not just active searching, but also passive collection, like cookies and web bugs.
Precisely. Cookies, those little text files websites store on your browser. Mostly harmless, used for remembering preferences and stuff, but they can contain personal info. And if your computer gets compromised, an attacker could potentially grab that data, see your browsing habits. It's a privacy risk. And then web bugs, tiny, like 1 pixel, invisible images on web pages. They often work with cookies to track where you go online. Third-party data companies use them a lot to build profiles. It's kind of like spyware or adware, really, monitoring you without you always knowing. The takeaway is that stuff is always gathering data.
Like leaving digital breadcrumbs everywhere you go online.
Okay, now, DNS. The phone book of the internet, you called it. How does that fit into footprinting? DNS.
Yeah.
Domain name service, super essential, right? Translates names like www.example.com into the IP addresses computers need. But, and this is a big but, DNS servers can be really vulnerable if they're not configured correctly. One of the most critical techniques here is something called a DNS zone transfer. The kind of shocking thing is that this fundamental internet service designed to connect things can actually hand over your entire network map if it's set up wrong.
Wait, an entire network map. What does a zone transfer actually give an attacker?
It can literally provide a list of almost every single host computer's servers on an organization's internal network. It's like asking for one person's number and getting the whole company phone directory, departments, and all. Tools like dig or host, common commands can be used to request this transfer. If the server allows it, you get the map. Being able to map out a network like that directly hits on identifying core security concepts, understanding hacking tools, and spotting major vulnerabilities. It's step one in figuring out where to attack.
Wow, that's a huge amount of information from just one misconfigured server. Okay, so if footprinting gives us the map, then social engineering, that's about manipulating the people on the map, right? Because the tech can be perfect, but humans.
Exactly. And this is where things get really, really interesting. Because social engineering is often seen as the single biggest security threat, and it's probably the hardest one to defend against technically. It's the art, or maybe the science, of manipulating people. Getting them to give up confidential info or do something they shouldn't, like click a bad link or let someone into a building. It leverages psychology, not code exploits. The core insight here is maybe that our own helpfulness, our desire to be efficient, can be turned against us, making us both the strongest and potentially the weakest link in security.
So it's starting people. What kind of tactics are we talking about? How do social engineers actually do this?
Well, they often start with profiling. Just watching people, understanding behavior, maybe picking up on personality traits as someone shy, insecure, eager to please, even reading body language. Once they have a feel for the target, they might use persuasion, maybe intimidation, sometimes coercion, or even extortion and blackmail in extreme cases. And they use specific psychological triggers, key techniques to get what they want.
Okay, like what? What are those key techniques?
Well, there's creating a sense of urgency. You need to click this link and reset your password and now W or your account will be locked, makes people panic and act without thinking. Then there's quid pro quo. I'll help you with this IT problem if you just give me your password. Or do this favor for me, I'll owe you one. Status quo plays on routine. Oh, we always do it this way. Trying to bypass a new security procedure. Exploiting basic human kindness is huge. Pretending to need help, making someone feel good by assisting, and position impersonating someone with authority. Pretending to be the CEO who forgot their password, or an IT manager needing urgent remote access. It puts pressure on people.
That's genuinely unsettling how trust can be twisted like that. So how on earth do you defend against something that targets our basic human nature?
Education. Honestly, it's education, education, education. It's by far the most effective defense. Organizations, security pros, need to constantly train users. Never give out company information to outsiders, period. And crucially, always verify who you're talking to. If someone calls asking for sensitive info, don't just trust them. Ask questions. Get their name and number, then hang up and call them back using an official, verified company number, not the one they gave you. This ties directly into security best practices, user training, making it part of the culture.
That makes total sense. Verify, verify, verify. Okay, beyond the psychological stuff, there are those classic, almost physical social engineering attacks that still work surprisingly well, right?
Yeah.
Like shoulder surfing.
Oh, absolutely. Shoulder surfing sounds simple, maybe even low-tech, but it's incredibly effective. An attacker literally just watches you type sensitive information, your login name, password, maybe a credit card number, a PN at an ATM. It could be someone standing nearby, or even someone further away using binoculars or a camera with a zoom lens. The key insight: sensitive data isn't just digital, it's often physically visible.
So protecting against that seems pretty straightforward then. Mostly common sense.
It is mostly common sense, yeah, but it's amazing how often we forget it. Don't type passwords or PNs if someone's looking over your shoulder. Angle your screen away from doorways or windows. If you even suspect someone saw your password, change it immediately. No hesitation. And for people who travel or work in public places a lot, those privacy screens for laptops, they're actually really effective. It's basic physical security applied to your workspace.
Good tips. Okay, and then there's the infamous dumpster diving. Seriously, do people still find useful stuff in the trash?
You would be absolutely shocked, seriously. So many organizations are careless about what they throw out. Dumpster divers look for anything potentially useful. Financial reports, internal memos, org charts, those are gold for figuring out who to target later. Resumes, old policies, even discarded technical manuals. Think about it. A manual might reveal default passwords or network configurations. Even something like an old phone list gives them names to work with for email guessing or pretexting calls. Seemingly harmless bits add up. The trash can be a treasure trove.
Okay, so the defense is shred absolutely everything sensitive.
Pretty much. Education, again, is key, making sure everyone knows what needs secure disposal. Shredding documents is vital. For hard drives or USB sticks, just deleting files isn't enough. You need to securely wipe them, maybe overwrite the data with zeros multiple times, destroy them physically if possible. And yeah, things like manuals or technical guides. Probably best to dispose of them off-site, not in the dumpster right behind the building. It's all part of that physical security design and handling information securely through its entire life.
Right. And piggybacking. That one always sounds like something from a spy movie. How does that work in a real office?
Yeah, it does sound cinematic. But piggybacking, or tailgating, is depressingly common. An attacker simply follows an authorized person through a secure door or checkpoint. They might pretend their hands are full, or fumble with a fake ID badge, or act like their card isn't working. The authorized person, trying to be helpful or just not paying attention, holds the door. And bingo, the attacker is inside the restricted area. It purely exploits politeness and our tendency not to challenge people.
So how do you stop people from being, well, polite?
It's tough. It requires a shift in security culture. Things like turnstiles or man-trap doors that only let one person through at a time help technically. But training is huge. People need to be trained and feel comfortable challenging anyone they don't recognize trying to enter a secure area. And there needs to be a strict policy. Don't hold secure doors open for anyone, even if you know them. Everyone uses their own badge every single time. It sounds strict, but it closes a huge vulnerability. That's practical physical security design and reinforcement.
Okay, last couple here, very common ones. Phishing and spear phishing. What's the key difference and why are they still so darn effective?
So phishing is like casting a wide net. It's usually those generic, urgent emails, "Your account has been compromised," trying to get you to click a link to a fake login page. They send it to thousands, hoping a few bite. Spear phishing is much more dangerous because it's targeted, highly personalized. The email might look like it's from your boss or a colleague, maybe mentioning a project you're actually working on. It uses information likely gathered during footprinting to build trust and make the lure seem legitimate. The goal is often to get you to open a malicious attachment that installs malware or click a link that compromises your machine. The insight: the more personal the attack feels, the harder it is for us to spot the danger because it plays on familiarity and trust. It really shows how attackers use business intelligence gathering and highlights sophisticated vulnerabilities.
Wow. Okay, so we really dug into this whole world of footprinting using web tools, DNS, all that digital stuff, and then shifted into social engineering, the human side. We've seen how attackers gather info with tools like ZEP and Whois, but also through really basic, almost old-fashioned methods like looking over shoulders, digging in trash, or just tailgating through a door.
And it loops right back to that opening thought, doesn't it? That company secrets weren't necessarily taken by some coding genius breaching the firewall. It could have been someone exploiting a simple human vulnerability. The most advanced tech defenses can crumble if the human element isn't also secured. Protecting networks, protecting data, it's not just firewalls and encryption. It's fundamentally about understanding how information flows digitally and socially and building strong defenses for both pathways.
And this deep dive, it's really for you. Whether you're building skills in a course like BCIS 4342, there at Tarleton State's Dr. Sam Peck College of Business, or maybe you're already out there as an early career pro building your expertise. So thinking about all this, what aspects of human behavior do you believe are most exploited in today's digital world? And maybe more importantly, how can we empower ourselves and our organizations to build much stronger human firewalls?
Think like a hacker, act like a guardian. And until next time, keep your systems and your ethics strong.